Now, there have been increasing concerns that the number of coronavirus cases in the mining areas has created infection hotspots for COVID-19. And data from institutions such as Benchmarks Foundation, which is a research organization with a special focus in mining areas, shows a spike in infections since the reopening of the mines in May, when the country eased into level 4 of lockdown restrictions. And this has created conflicting views with the Minerals Council of South Africa, which is a body that represents some of the country's largest miners. They refuting allegations that mining areas are rapidly becoming the epicentre of the coronavirus in those areas. So this morning we speak to the Department of Mineral Resources and Energy, and the Director General, Advocate Thabo Mokoena, joins us now via Zoom. Advocate, thanks so much for your time. Welcome to Morning Live.
Good morning, ma'am. Thank you very much. Good morning to you. Yes,
Advocate Mokoena, what is the department's own perspective with regard to what is happening with infections in the mines?
The mining companies are doing what we have instructed them to do. That was to test and also to screen their employees. Now, this is actually as a result of the instruction from the department. You will remember that the minister once said that, he was very worried that we're not getting any cases from the mining towns. And so that may create an impression that there's nothing that is happening there. But with the directions that the minister issued, including the guidelines that we also published, the mining companies then started to test, because we have done this together with the Mineral Council and also Labour. All the unions, they participated in this process. Now, we are saying that this must not come as a shock, because we anticipated that when we start with aggressive campaign of rigorous testing and screening, we're going to have more of these cases. Now, this helps, for the mining companies to be able to take the necessary measures, and also from the side of government, we now know and have a better picture of what is the situation in those mining towns.
And what is that picture as we speak right now, Advocate Mokoena?
Well, at the moment, we know that we have close to 8,880 people that have been tested. Now, out of this number, we have 750 that tested positive. And also the people that have been screened, we have close to 241,000 that have been, tested. Now, we only have one case that has been reported of a person that actually passed away. And so that is the situation in the mining industry thus far.
So yesterday we did an interview. Leanne Manners was speaking to the council as well as some of the unions about this matter. And when that conversation took place, we looked at the numbers. And yesterday we were looking at about 680 cases of COVID-19 infections. What is that picture today? Do you know?
Yes, that's what I've just confirmed, that we are standing around 750 at the moment of positive cases.
750?
750, yes. And we have 8,880, employees that have been tested to date, and 241,000 screened. And you know that the number will go up as we test and so forth, but at least measures are there in place to make sure that these employees, they don't become vulnerable. You know that mining companies, they do have, their hospitals, and the infrastructure is good. And so we have issued a clear direction. Remember, during the, level 4 as well, when we issued the directions, we have made it very clear that when people test positive, then they must also have mechanisms and means in place to make sure that those people the necessary attention that they deserve.
Advocate Mokoena, what is the rate of compliance based on the commitments that were agreed upon with the unions and the mines at the time of reopening?
To be honest, Sakina, there is actually compliance by mining companies because they are doing this for themselves, they are doing this for the country, because we don't want every time to stop operations. Now, we have made it very clear that the standard operating procedures that they have adopted, because that is a direction that we have issued, that before they can start with their operations, they must make sure that they have the standard operating procedures in place. And so as and when our inspectors, through the Chief Inspector of Mines, they conduct their inspections, we must find those standard operating procedures in place. And so there is actually compliance, and we are happy to date in a manner in which the mining companies are performing. Where there are challenges, we have our regional offices throughout the country under the leadership of our principal inspectors, where they intervene wherever there is a challenge. And so even provincial departments were also working, together as government to make sure that, there is actually, compliance. And our principal inspectors are the ones that are leading in making sure that measures and systems are put in place.
My question was actually, Advocate Mokoena, what is the rate of compliance? Because you say that the inspectors are policing this, but how many inspections have they actually carried out? And what is the rate of compliance for the number of inspections that they have done?
Well, I may not be able to give you that we have 10,000 inspections that we have conducted, but what we can say or confirm is that on daily basis, our teams are out there to doing inspections. Now, the report that we have received as of yesterday, that there is actually a great deal of compliance by mining companies. And so we are quite satisfied with that kind of a report, because you know that there are many mines, they are all over the country, and we don't actually have stats at the moment, but the work is actually being done, and the report is that there is actually compliance. Where there are challenges, the principal inspectors, together with the senior inspectors and our inspectors, they are able to direct the mining companies accordingly to comply. But to a great deal of extent, we are quite happy in a manner in which the mining companies are responding. You remember, Sakina, that this was a bit of a challenge when we started, when the minister also had to embark on unannounced visits just to check the level of compliance. And so that's when we discovered that there was actually measures in place and everything was put in place. However, testing was still a bit of a challenge. But immediately after that, we had the discussion with the Mineral Council and also with Labour to demonstrate to them that this is what we have done and these are the results that we have found. And so then out of that, the mining companies started to ensure that there is actually compliance with their directions.
So how are the practicalities playing out, Advocate Mokoena, as per the reports that you are getting from your inspectors? Because there were some real concerns that were raised about the practicalities, and the unions at some point said that these were going to be impossible. For example, how are miners supposed to continuously work underground in that heat with masks on? How have you managed to monitor issues such as these, going down in a shaft and social distancing, those sorts of issues? How have you monitored that?
Well, it was a concern. We even had to drive to some of the mines from the head office with the minister, based on the very same point that you have just raised. But we indicated to the mining companies that it is very important that they observe the protocols, because the mining employees did actually raise some concerns that it is difficult underground to observe, the protocols and so. But you know that it's something that the mining companies have to make sure that they do comply with in terms of complying with the regulations. There are challenges here and there, but then in terms of compliance, they also went out to have some extra measures by getting protective clothing for their employees, even when they get into the cages, when they go underground. They have put measures in place because this matter came out quite strongly during our meetings with the employees, because we even went down there to meet with the employees in terms of the operations of mining companies. That is why I am comfortable to report or to confirm that, based on the report that we have received from our inspectors, that there is actually a great deal of compliance. We have even agreed with the employees that whenever there are problems underground, if we are not there, they must be able to alert the department that in Mine Acts there is no compliance with the protocols. And so practicality, as you have correctly pointed it out, was an issue, and we had to make sure that we have a constructive conversation on this point together with the employees. And so where there are challenges, we make sure that we attend to those challenges as the department.
And with regard to those positive cases, exactly how are the mines dealing with those? Do you have any reports?
Yes, we know that they have infrastructure, their hospitals, and so those people are now being treated. Those quarantine facilities. We even visited some of their facilities, and so we are quite happy. Remember that some of them, they are even donating some of those facilities to government as well.
We're going to have to leave it there. Thank you so much, Advocate Thabo Mokoena, the Director General of DMR, for giving us the department's perspective following concerns about an increase in the number of coronavirus infections in mining areas, which some say are becoming growing hotspots for COVID-19. And our apologies for the sound quality there on that particular line, but that's where we're going to leave it for now. Let's